Give my son your $1,000 sniper rifle because he is new. So let me start off by saying that I'm a 16-year-old boy. I've played airsoft for over 6 years. I have a Tokyo Marui VSR-10, a really high-end sniper rifle. Me and my dad spent close to $1,000 on upgrades so that I can shoot people as far as possible and that is as accurate as possible. It was the last thing we did together before he died. Here's a picture. Wow, I must say, that is an absolute beast. Kids will come up to me about it and ask about it, and I will let them hold it or shoot it. I've even had some adults come and wonder at it. Some kids ask to use it in a game, but I always refuse, but I offer them a different rifle that does a little bit less in terms of performance, but it costs a lot less, so I don't care if it breaks. And here's a picture of it. I mean, in my opinion, that's just as nice. Anyway, to the story. So an entitled kid who was about 13 years old came up to me and said, "Hey, cool rifle." "Thanks. Can I hold it?" "Sure, why not?" The kid picks it up and almost drops it because it weighs almost 6 pounds. "This thing is heavy." "Yeah, it has some weight to it." "How much is it to buy one?" "Around $1,000. "Can I use this for a game?" I'm pretty used to this question at this point. "No, sorry." "But I want it." "Sorry, but the rifle means a lot to me." Now, the kid, being the little idiot that he is, decides to try and run off with it. I chase after him and try to get it back, but this is where we meet his entitled parent. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Okay, if he's 13, which is the minimum age to play at my fields, and being called sweetie, you can already tell something's gonna go wrong here. The kid is already crying. "He won't let me play with my toy," points at me. "Hello mom, your son has my rifle. It would be absolutely splendid if I could have it given back." "Why can't he play with it?" "I've invested over $1,000 into that rifle and it's very sentimental to me." "Oh, he can trade you for one of his guns, right EK?" The kid shakes his head and clearly wants the rifle because it looks cool and doesn't realise how good it actually is. The entitled parent picks up a gun from the table and offers to trade. She picks up one of the guns you would see at Walmart for like $20. At this point, I'm starting to get frustrated. "Miss, if you could just hand back the rifle, I have another one he can use, it works just as well." "Well, he wants to use that one. Can't you share for one kid?" "Miss, that's the point of the other rifle, is that I share that one." She then points at the stolen rifle. "You didn't even pay that much for it. That's worth like $40. "Mom, with all due respect, me and my father worked on that gun and have spent over $1,000 on that rifle. You have no right to use it without my permission." The entitled kid starts crying again and drops the rifle into the gravel. I pick it up in a split second. "Look, now you made my kid cry. How dare you refuse to let him use it? You deserve to be shot." I'd like to point out here that I grew up in the inner city around a lot of crime and gangs. In fact, some gangster shot my father thinking he was someone else in a drive-by. I was shot at a few times and stabbed by a switchblade from a kid at my old school. Airsoft actually helps me not be afraid of guns and helps me remember my dad because we used to play it almost every weekend. So at this point I'm holding back tears. "I'm sorry for wasting your time, but you cannot use this rifle." I then walk away and go back to my table and try not to cry. The next game starts around 10 minutes later, so I go out there with my gear and my babe of a rifle. I finish and go back out to help the referee move some stuff into his truck. I come back to realise that my rifle and the case are gone, and I look over to the gate to see the two who I suspected. They are walking out with both of my guns and the case. I sprint as fast as I can to them and ask, what are they doing? "Excuse me, yes, what are you doing?" "Oh, you didn't seem to need the rifle, so I thought I could keep it." I'm confused AF. What? My little entitled kid deserves the rifles. He worked hard on his grades, but they are my property. "Not anymore, now they belong to EK." "Miss, I can't let you leave with those rifles." The entitled parent then tries to swing the £20 case towards my head. I duck as fast as I can. She then hits her entitled kid right in the chest with the edge of the case since she missed my head. I proceed to pull my multi-tool knife on her because I feel my life is being threatened. The owner of the field walks over and asks me what is going on. I actually help him out for free by moving stuff and building things on the field for people to use. "What is going on here?" "She tried to hit me with my own gun case." "Where are the rifles?" "In the case." "So she's trying to steal your stuff?" "Yes sir, that's exactly what she's trying to do. She hit her kid with a case by trying to hit me." "Hey Joe," fake name, "call the sheriff and an ambulance." I put the multi-tool away. We move the lady and the kid's limp body over to the shade while we wait for the police. Then a police officer arrives. "What's the problem, sir?" "This woman has attacked one of my customers." "What happened?" The owner tells me to explain, and I explain everything to them. "Mom, what's your side of the story?" She is frozen from hitting her child with a 20-pound hunk of metal and plastic. She honestly looked like she just went through heck. I decided not to press charges because she was already going to have to pay for the ambulance and the hospital bill. And I think the stress of hitting your own child is bad enough. I went to the hospital a few days later and found out that the blow to him broke his sternum and 4 ribs, and he had a punctured lung, all at age 13. I talked to the mum and she apologised about what she said and that she just meant well for her son. I think this proves the moral that you could have the best intentions in the world, but your actions define you so much more. Thanks for reading. I miss you, Dad. Well, a big thank you to Natto Gaming for posting his great story on my personal subreddit. I'm sorry that this ordeal happened to you, but at least you got a decent story out of it. Entitled Parent slaps my boss because a surfer accidentally hit her child. Get ready for this one, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm a lifeguard and I normally work in the mornings. However, my boss wanted me to go to work in the afternoon because everyone else couldn't make it, and we normally have 2 or 3 lifeguards working at once. So on that day it was just me and my boss working. The beach we work at is a surf beach, so the waves are massive and there are a lot of surfers there. Not a lot of families come to the beach because of the waves, and they were huge in the afternoons, so you could imagine my surprise when a family showed up to the beach. An entitled kid was swimming in the shallow part of the water, but then he saw all these older kids and I guess went up to them. A huge wave just happened to show up, and so all these surfer dudes started paddling. Can you see where this is going? They were all screaming at the kid to get out of the way, but the entitled kid didn't listen, and this alerted us. So me and my boss both started screaming at the kid to move. But then the surfer that was about to hit him jumped off his board, and guess what hit EK in the face? The surfboard. He started screaming and crying and ran to his entitled mother, who ran up to us. This is how the conversation went. "Oh my god, help! One of your surfers hit my kid in the face!" "I'm sorry, they aren't our surfers and we were telling him to move." "You're lifeguards, you're supposed to jump in and help him." "I'm very sorry, Mom, but it would have been too late. We'll get you a first aid kit." "No, EK doesn't need a first aid kit. Consider your butt sued." Keep in mind, her entitled kid's nose was bleeding and he was crying and wincing in pain. "Miss, I think he does need a first aid kit." "No, he doesn't. I say if he needs one. And you should have helped him." "Miss, your son shouldn't have gone out so far and moved when the surfers told him to. He couldn't hear you over the waves." "How do you know that?" "Because I couldn't hear you either. You should have blown your whistle thingies." "The rules are that we blow the whistles when someone is drowning." "That's not what the whistles are for. That would have caused a false alarm." "No, it wouldn't have." This went on for a while until the EM slapped my boss. "That's it, get off the beach." "No, we have a right to be here, just like those surfers." "Get off the beach before we call the police." I'm not sure how he kept his cool through all of this. No, neither am I. Getting slapped and keeping your cool? Fair play to your boss. The entitled mum grabbed her entitled kid's wrist and pulled him to their stuff, which they struggled to gather. Then they walked up the steps. The beach has steps leading to the car park, and went out of sight in the car park. The next day, I wasn't there because, as I said before, I worked in the mornings. I just heard this from my boss. The entitled mum showed up again, this time without her kid. This time, my co-worker was working their afternoon shift, and so was my boss. The entitled mum angrily walked over to my boss and started screaming in his face. "You broke my son's nose!" "I don't remember touching your son." The entitled mum slapped him again. My boss must have had enough at this point and called the police. Well, I'm not surprised. I don't know much more, but apparently she got 30 hours of community service for assaulting my boss, and in court her argument was, he was supposed to watch over my son, as if he was her entitled kid's babysitter. But yeah, I haven't seen EM since then, and hopefully I never do again. Entitled mum tries to steal my debit card because I'm too young. Oh my god, this is stupid. I was going to see Aladdin today at the movie theatres, so I purchased the tickets online and drove to the theatre. We got to our seats, parents, my brother and I gave him some money to get a snack or some popcorn. I told him I would stay here while he does so. He comes back with a water and popcorn. About halfway into the movies, I took a break to go to the bathroom. After my break, I took a walk up to the area where you buy popcorn, forgot what it's called, SMH, and I was in line to get a popcorn and a drink, and took out my debit card so I was ready to pay. Enter EM. She gets in line and is right behind me as I'm going to go pay, and sees me with my card. She taps me on the shoulder and says, "Excuse me, but I think you are too young to be able to use one of those." Even though I'm 16, so I simply say, "Mom, I'm well old enough to own one of these, my mum helped me get it." EM walks away, I don't know what for, and comes back asking where my mum is. Well, she isn't here at the moment, she is at my house. EM says ugh under her breath, and I ask if there is something wrong. She says, "You can just give the card to me, I'm sure there's nothing on it." I of course decline her request and say it has enough money to buy what I need. It only had like $10 on it. EM says, "Well then it has enough for what I need." She reaches her hand out and said, "Hand it over," in a mean, you know what's gonna happen if you don't kind of voice. "Mom, it's not yours to take. I own this card and I'm going to use it." We step out of line and she starts saying how my mum is a bad mum for getting me that, and how she is stupid and probably didn't go to school. I'm guessing she said that to make me feel sad, to the point I give it to her, but that was not going to happen. I ignored her remarks and I said, "Mom, I won't let you have." She proceeded to try and steal my card, and I asked for her to stop what she is doing, and a man stepped in and told her, "Hands off." He looked like the guy that would be in a biker gang or something. She said, "Isn't this kind gentleman too young to own a debit?" But the man said, "He doesn't look too young at all. You have a problem with people that are younger than you?" She said, No, not at all." And she backed away slowly, and that was the end of it. I enjoyed the movie, and my little brother still has no idea what happened. He asked me when I got back, what took so long? I told him there were problems with the popcorn machine. I didn't get the popcorn. Anyway, if you enjoyed that video, go and check out another one right away. There are so many more Reddit stories on my channel for you to enjoy. Also, drop me a comment below if there's another subreddit that I haven't looked at yet and you want to see in the next video.